I'm Jack Murphy, and this is my writer's dossier.
No writers were harmed in the production of this podcast.
Army Ranger Green Beret, host of the Team House podcast, Jack Murphy's on with the Writer's Dossier. How are you, brother?
I'm doing real good. Thanks, Jeff.
Man, it is so good to finally see you because I've been a big Team House fan for a long time. I've seen it for everywhere. I think you told me you've got 400 episodes.
Yeah.
You do about 6 a week drops on everywhere you can find a podcast. Folks, look up Jack Murphy. It's an easy name to remember. Team House podcast. 160,000 subscribers on YouTube. So Jack is doing something right. And he's made the decision to come on the Writer's Dossier after St. Patrick's Day. So I'm taking a guess here that Jack Murphy may have had a good time last week.
No, I'm afraid not. I'm reached the age where, two of my hobbies, physical fitness and exercise and drinking. And I'm 42. I had to choose one of these things. I couldn't do both the way I used to when I was 20.
Man, I'm like Charlie Chaplin on a tightrope between the two buildings in New York City trying to do both.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it, man. You've had a wild career, and you've seen a little bit of both of those sides of the bar there on the tightrope with the things that you've done. 9/11 kind of shook your head a little bit, and that snow globe inside started going. And you ended up joining the 75th Ranger Regiment. You ended up as an Army Ranger. Did you know that that's the route you wanted to take?
I mean, I knew I wanted to be in the military, and it was just a question of like what pathway I was going to take to get there. I mean, in the 1990s, when I was growing up, I even had thoughts about joining the French Foreign Legion. But then after 2001, after the 9/11 attacks, it became very clear, America is going to war. And the Ranger Regiment was a great opportunity to get into the fight fairly quickly. There's some training, but it's at the time they were just opening the door for guys to go directly to Special Forces training. It's like a year and a half of training. To get into the Ranger Regiment at that time, you go to your 11 weeks of basic training, your 3 weeks of airborne school, your 3 weeks of the Ranger indoctrination program, and bam, you're in battalion.
See, there's a big difference there. When people got the tab, right? I mean, you've seen it, I've seen it everywhere. People are rocking the tab. And the big question I always want to know is, come on, were you in the regiment?
Yeah, I mean, I joke with people about, even we had a female ranger on the podcast the other day, and I was like, listen, you're here because of the scroll, not the tab, right? Like we all, that's what we're showing up for here. It's true. There's a lot of regimental pride. Ranger school is a good course. I mean, I believe in the training, but it's just a school. It's the same. I also have a college degree. Okay, who cares? Like it's what you do with it afterwards that's important.
Yeah, one of the things I like to come out with is not what you say, but how you say it. And yeah, it's not what school you go to, it's how you use what you've learned.
Yeah.
And you took that a long way, and you did 3 combat deployments. I'm sure we've been in some of the same areas. I don't know, Eastern Afghanistan or Iraq, but I get a lot of guys who come on the podcast, or people who write books. They make that leap, that transition. So the question is, with The Most Dangerous Man, your new novel coming out June 9th from Crooked Lane. Is that the date?
June 6th, maybe. But
June
early June,
6th.
we can go with that.
If people just get it out of the way and get it now. Don't worry about the date. This
helps.
podcast has come around the time it comes out. But The Most Dangerous Man makes me want to wonder the kinds of things that books, where they come from. And when I see like a Brad Taylor or any of these military, Jack Stewart, Jack Carr, books that you are being compared to, which is a very lofty attainment, which we're going to cover in a minute. I always sit, whenever I'm reading a Brad Taylor book or rereading one of his books, I sit back and I think, I know Brad was at Camp McCall. I wonder, did this come out of that experience? So the same goes to you. Obviously, you can't help but put some of your amazing experiences in your book. But what's the purpose of that, and where does Sergeant Jeremy Lopez start? and where do you end?
Well, I mean, for me, this may sound a little weird, but maybe some readers or writers get it. But for me, one of the things that I want to convey in the book is a sort of atmosphere, the type that feels real and feels visceral. And the masters of this, I'm not comparing myself to these gentlemen, but Robert E. Howard, H.P. Lovecraft, they were people that were so bought into the vision that they were writing about, that you have this creepy feeling as you're reading it. You're like, is this something that really happened? And that's something that I hope it's something I try to accomplish with my books, and especially with this novel. Like if you get halfway through it and you're like, is he writing about something that really happened? I mean, then I'll feel pretty good about myself.
Did you Okay, so this is a big novel for you right now because I'm going to quote two of my favorites. Mark Greaney. A thriller crafted from dynamite and razor wire. I don't know where he comes up with these things, but that is amazing. That's Mark Greaney, folks, #1 New York Times bestselling author. That's the level here, folks, that Jack Murphy is operating at. And
And
friend,
I was just gonna say, my claim to fame, which I never fail to tell Mark about. I've read every one of the Gray Man novels. So like I'm a huge fan of his work, and yeah, I mean, it means a lot to me. I appreciate his support.
well, someone said your book, The Most Dangerous Man, a thriller by Jack Murphy, is the gray man meets the most dangerous game. And a military thriller from U.S. Forces, Special Forces turned investigative journalist, which I want to talk about in a minute. But friend of the show, Tim Hendricks, our pal, says Murphy hits the bullseye with his modern take on a classic story. How is this a classic story? I mean, is it boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy ends up? What are we
No,
talking about here?
it is the hunting of man. But
Yes.
it is kind of a classic story. The Most Dangerous Game is a short story written about 100 years ago, almost a century ago. And that was the first, it kind of invented a genre almost, that has been recycled many times over the years. The general concept being it's about this guy who's an outdoorsman and he's hunted for sport by this aristocrat on an island in the original short story. Since then, many books and films have kind of taken this and ran with it. One is a personal favorite of mine that I really enjoy is Surviving the Game with Rutger Hauer and Ice-T
Yes.
and Gary Busey. Like great
Mhm.
cast.
Yes.
And then another film that I thought about a little bit when I was writing this was Predator. You
Yeah.
have a group of guys out in the woods, and in that case being hunted. And both of those movies have very colorful characters, which is something I realized I had to introduce when you put a entire plot of a novel out in the forest, out in the wilderness. The personalities, the characterization has to be particularly strong, because you can't rely on political intrigue or technology or any of those sorts of things. Um, so that's kind of the gist of where the inspiration, I guess you could say. But then there's also some real life stuff that kind of planted the bug in my ear. Um, about over 10 years ago at this point, I was having lunch in Manhattan with a old Ranger buddy who was working as a security contractor. And he told me this story that's stuck in my mind. He said that there is a safari guide in Africa, one of these guys that takes wealthy people out on safari. And he was also contracted to come up with a counter poaching program at one of the national reserves in
Hmm.
Africa. And what this guy did, being a little entrepreneurial minded person, was he crossed the business models and he started taking wealthy people to hunt poachers, like literally paying to hunt human beings.
Yeah.
So I filed that one away in the back of my mind. And then more recently, like maybe a year or so, 2 years ago, I was having a conversation with a different person, and this person told me about a European royal family that has gone on hunting expeditions in Africa, hunting poachers, just like I had heard previously. So that was sort of the inspiration behind it. And then as I was finishing the book, I actually became aware of a documentary called Sarajevo Safari, which is very dark, but based allegedly on a true story about wealthy people from Russia, Italy, the United States, and elsewhere who traveled to Sarajevo during the Bosnian War, and they were literally just shooting civilians for fun, and they would have to
Oh
pay a
my God.
tariff for each kill that they got. The highest tariff was when they killed children. So this thing, I mean, I wish I could say it's totally a work of fiction and a
Yeah.
product of my sick imagination. There actually appears to be something to it.
Did you have flashbacks, not in a bad way, but like back to SEER training?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
Lopez
No,
goes through some of that. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely drew on some of those military experiences, and SEER being one of the biggest ones. For listeners that don't know, it's a survival course that they put you through when you go through special forces training, and it stands for Survive, Escape, Resist, Evade. And it was invented by Colonel Nick Rowe, who spent 6 years as a POW in Vietnam. And he came back and overhauled how we teach soldiers to handle that experience. So the course teaches you how to survive off the land for about a week. You spend a week learning how to resist interrogation, to resist your prison wardens, and then the last week is a practical exercise where you're actually evading out in the wilderness in North Carolina. And at a
On the
certain point,
run.
you get captured and put into a mock POW camp. And this is the SEER training, which is the fun one, where you're put under physical duress while you're in this POW camp for like I couldn't even tell you to this day. I was so out of it how long I was there. I think like maybe 3 days. It feels a lot longer though.
Story time with Jack Murphy on the writer's dossier here, folks. I'll give you just one quick story. SEER training, yeah, North Carolina. Did they play the crying babies over
Yes.
the overhead and the NPR and the seven?
Yep,
Yeah, the
they sure did.
yeah.
And
It
the when you get put in solitary confinement, and the voice that they're playing through the speakers, slash
over and over and
slash
over
kill
and over
kill
and
your
over.
wife slash kill, and then the baby crying, yeah, and it just goes on like that
Yeah.
for hours.
God, I hated that. I'm like, you're kidding. Then they had the NPR voice and then the interviewing. It was almost like a '70s post Vietnam thing. No, man, we were there for all the wrong reasons. America sucks.
Did you get the Super Mario music?
No, I got cheated.
I mean, I don't know if it was literally Super Mario, but that's what we all
Yeah.
called it. It sounded like the do 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 do.
Boing.
Yeah.
I think we had clowns juggling, but anyways. Um, All right. So you got this book, you've got this experience, and you put it out there. How did you get hooked up with Crooked Lane? Because this is coming out in June. This book is a big deal. And we want to help push it out because we believe in you and everything that you do. But the story, I get it because of where you come from and what you've done. Everyone's gonna enjoy this, but they don't have to know like you define SEER, which is great. People don't need to know all those detailed military intricacies for it to actually have a message
Yeah, yeah.
that's broad enough for everyone, right?
Yeah, I mean, so as far as getting hooked up with Crooked Lane, I mean, my life has numerous weird sidebars and misadventures along the way. When I got out of the army, I started writing novels, and I published 4 novels, self-published them through Amazon KDP. Had a pretty good experience with that, and started a career in journalism, national security journalism. And then that leads into, through your journalistic work, you meet all these interesting people. That leads into the podcast and doing the team house. So that's kind of how all that comes about. I published a nonfiction special forces history book and a memoir in subsequent years. And I think what was going on was that the editors at Crooked Lane were looking for some bro lit. They were looking to engage that male audience. And so they're
Right.
searching for, frankly, people like me, like TJ Hendrickson, Joshua Hood, all those kinds of
Yeah.
dudes.
Oh yeah.
So they reached out to my agent, and my agent was like right away, like, "Oh yeah, I got this guy Jack. He'd be all over it," and I
Oh,
definitely was.
nice.
We got that going pretty quick, and I think I wrote the draft in like 3 months. I mean, I had a good time writing it.
Outstanding. Love it.
Yeah.
Hey, little side quest here on some of the other work that you do with the investigative journalism stuff. You're still involved in some stuff. Can you give us any idea on what you're talking about on Team House podcast? Maybe some of the investigations that you've uncovered, or I had an idea. You, me, and Nick Shirley get together and we start going through rosters of something going on in the city and find out what's happening.
Sure.
Maybe blow the lid off of something. That'll be fun. What have you got going on?
Well, I mean, on Team House, we're always interviewing military veterans, people who served in the intelligence community. This Friday, we're actually interviewing two journalists who just wrote a story. I actually have it up here in another window in Politico about Operation Red Wings by R.M.
Oh,
Schneiderman and Ed Durock. So they're going to be
oh,
on this Friday. So we cover all that kind of stuff. But I also do investigative journalism with colleague Sean Naylor for an
hmm.
outlet called The High Side, and that's kind of
Yeah,
where
he.
all like in-depth stuff gets published.
I have one of Sean's books. He wrote a book. It's blue. I've
He
got it
wrote
on the shelf.
Relentless Strike,
There you go.
is the big one. Yeah.
Awesome. You're all over the place, but where do you want people to go to look for you? I know YouTube folks, go to the YouTube channel. It's YouTube, look for Jack Murphy or Team House Podcast. It's at the Team House Podcast. That's where you want to go. Where else can we go to find out about you, your book, what else you've got going on? What do you like most, Jack?
Yeah, you can find me kind of wherever. I'm on social media. Haven't really been on Twitter in about a year. But otherwise I'm around. You can find me Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Yeah, the YouTube channel's great. The High Side Substack is where the investigative journalistic work is published. And as far as the book, I mean, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, wherever you guys go to buy books, you can pre-order it, and then you'll be able to find it when it comes out in June.
There you go, folks. It's called The Most Dangerous Man. You can get it right now. And definitely check out Jack and everything that he's doing with Sean, and check out the Substack for sure. Dude, thanks for joining the Writer's Dossier. It's really good to have you on. And thanks for what you're doing. You're doing some great stuff. People definitely need to get on board right away.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeff. Appreciate you having
You
me.
bet. My pleasure. Bye, everybody. The Dossier Podcast is a production of The Idea Academy.